Thank you for watching our video. This show is sponsored by DreamStream. DreamStream is a unique platform where creators can monetize their video content. All creators rely on support from people like you. Join us on the DreamStream platform to support your favorite creator and view the episode without any adverts. Follow the link in the description for a how-to guide. DreamStream, a place where you can create yourself.
Hello and welcome to the Good Vibes Only show. I am Kathleen. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of the show. Super excited as usual. Today I am joined by someone who's doing amazing on the airwaves. She is a rising star. I love to say that because things can only keep going greater and greater. They can just keep getting better and better for you. Pretty Ngwenya, how are you doing?
Oh, absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for the invitation. How are you doing?
I am good. It's boiling hot, but we keep it moving, girl.
We're not going to talk about that. You
Bruh.
look absolutely stunning.
Thank you so much. Now, I want us to start things with your humble beginnings before we actually get into our conversation. For our viewers that are watching right now, who is Pretty Ngwenya?
Yeah. Okay. So that is a very tough question because I think it requires you to know yourself.
Yeah.
Because who I am and what I do are two
Yeah.
separate things, and it's very important that we acknowledge and see that and understand it at the same time. So Pretty Ngwenya is a homebody, you know. I grew up, I was raised by two parents, which I get asked a lot of times because were you raised by both your parents? I'm like, yeah, why? It's like we can just tell.
Is it? Yes.
Yes, and I find that of importance, you know. I'm a very humble young lady, loves to laugh, exciting, and I think that's what drove me to be who I am in terms of what I do at large. So I am in the space of broadcasting. I work for Metro FM, but the journey itself, I come from a family that just it's family orientated. You
Yeah.
know, you've got your Christmas lunches, you've got your commitments that you need to have, and I think just having those moments of laughter and having those moments of always being the loudest one, always being the one who makes them laugh, always being the one who gets listened to. It's like, when I say siyakubona. So it's that kind of thing. And I think that drove me to do radio. But I think more than anything else, I started off as an administrator
Okay.
for about a good 6 years. I was in administration, I was a receptionist, I worked in printing companies. And all the time when I got a call, there'll always be some compliments, like your voice,
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
voice. And eventually I was like, man,
Something needs to be
like
done.
let's figure it out because now you wake up in the morning and you're not happy.
Yeah.
But let's try and find something. So then that's when I started adventuring into this journey of radio at Durban Youth Radio Station in KZN. We had moments of joy. I think it was very short-lived. One day I'll tell you why I left UIR. It's such a it's such a personal story, but at the same time, I don't think I'm ready for my current
Is
employers
it
to
to
know.
know? Yeah.
Yeah. So I left UIR, which I also think that God was just redirecting me. It's simply I came to Joburg in a nutshell, started holding on my piece jobs Gala before I started looking for radio stations, worked for Salma HD radios, which sometimes I feel like I should never mention because it was like 3 days, Nyana, before I knew it, Vow FM was knocking on the door.
Yeah.
And I started working for Vow FM, worked for Vow FM for I guess 3 years.
Okay.
And my first year being at home because of COVID. Straight after that, went into freelancing for Power FM. And before I knew it, reshuffle came and I got a call from Metro FM.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Now, you have made sure that you perfect your craft, right, over the years,
Yeah.
which has placed you in places that are very prominent. And I think this is beautiful to watch. I mean, you said you've worked at your Vow FM, you have freelanced at your Power FM, now you're at Metro FM.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work that goes into perfecting your craft. I think also people don't get to see that actual work that is put into it. Now, take us through your process of making sure that the craft that you are doing right now is perfected and you're also comfortable with what you're doing.
I think comfortable is a very key word
Yeah.
to use. Firstly, I think I'm gonna send a shout out, a heartfelt shout out to Shweshwe, who was the station manager at that time at Vow FM. Every single week, we would get feedback sessions where we had to sit down and get feedback. And please remember that these feedback sessions are not, they're not sugar coated.
Yeah.
It's almost like, so what were you doing between the hours of 2:15 to 2:30? Because I just couldn't catch what you were trying to say.
Gee
What
whiz.
was your point? Where were you going? What was the drive? Like, did you plan it? Like, these are like really things that you need to grow a thick skin for, because it's gonna be harsh, it's gonna be tough. But at the same time, you need to ask yourself if you really want it or you don't. So coming to the point of preparation, I think at Vow FM, when we got there, or when I got there, I'll speak for myself, but I know that most people too would share the same sentiment.
Yeah.
You were never given a mic. You don't just get there and you want to be a presenter. It doesn't work like that. You need to be able to understand each and every single sphere of the radio sector.
Sure.
You need to be able to produce. You need to go through a training process of what production looks like, your research, how to create the content, your information that you need to give to the people. What angle are you tackling? How are you going to do it? Who are you going to find that's going to be the voice of reason for what you are trying to carry?
Yeah.
There's so much work.
I love that, because people just think when you're on radio, all you do is just talk. They switch on the mic and then you just talk. But there's a lot that goes into it.
Do you know how many DMs I get?
Sure.
Like, can I just work for Metro? Like, hi, I would love to do that, but I've got no control whatsoever about what happens. But I think that's the one thing people are misled by, to think that it's a great voice, to think that, I've got a story to tell, to think that, I mean, stories are great and we can't take away the fact that stories are great, but at the same time, you need to have an angle of a story, because remember that we can have 6 different radio stations speaking to Pretty.
Yeah.
But the only difference is, what are you asking Pretty that is going to be different from the different radio station that sets you apart? So if there was one individual who was listening, and I had to do like a whole day of a radio marathon interview, so to say, and you would be the first person. If somebody is listening from the morning all the way to drive, they'll probably have one that they feel like is their favorite.
They relate to more.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that's where the amount of information and the work that goes into it, that's when you can actually see it rising. So you get to do music as well at Vow FM. You can't say I can't do it.
Yeah.
What does I can't do it mean? So you work your way gradually up and up and up until you reach a point where they say you're ready for the mic. So when anybody calls at that stage, whether it's a commercial radio station, whether it is international, whatever, and they say they want a music compiler, if it's your way of entering through that door, then so be it. So now you are you have the skill, as opposed to just saying, I just want to speak, I just want the mic. So I think every day there's a certain amount of hard work that goes into creating and honing your craft in general.
Now, you started your radio career in 2018, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
And I just want to know from you, what is it about radio that has captured your heart? Why radio? Because I can see now when you're speaking about it, you have that thing that lights you up,
Yeah.
What glow? How the radio that you just glow?
Yeah.
What is it about this particular thing that makes you so happy?
Wow. I always say this, and I think in many interviews I'll continue to say it. I grew up watching Ugcina Mhlophe. I think it was on SABC2, and she used to tell stories, and the ability to tell a story and also have like a musical component in it, because it captures a child's mind. You're able to remember the song, and then it's easier to remember the story. So it's just a constant thing where the mind will just keep on singing and singing the whole day, and you eventually get the feel of what the story is about and the hang of it and everything. So reading was always a big thing at home. Gunam Mhlophe told us stories. So storytelling became my thing. I remember there was a time in high school where my friend, we were in the bus. I'm going to try and cut it very short. We were in a bus. We used to travel in a bus when we went to school. And obviously there's different buses. Mlas 1, Mlas 2, Mlas 3, which would be like your Riavayas. Different places and stuff like that. And then we would get there. And obviously there's a little drama. and I get to school way before we reach a point of going our separate ways. You
Yeah.
get there, you put your bags down,
Yeah.
say, hey, you know. And as we do that, somebody tries to tell the story about what happened in the bars, and my friend is like, stop. You will not tell me the story.
Yeah.
I want Pretty to tell me the story.
Yeah.
She literally walked away because everybody else wants to hear the story. She removed herself from the crowd and said, I will wait for Pretty.
Yeah.
Need a photo studio? The Dreamstream Photo Studio includes a 2.7-meter PVC backdrop in black and white and is available for only 115 rands per hour. You can also rent a Canon R6 and lights. All rentals are for studio use only. Terms and conditions apply. Contact studio at dreamstream.co.za.
Thank you, Ben, for coming out tonight. My name is Son of Augustine.
And when I got there, it's like, yeah, nangu mngani wakho. She says she's waiting for you to tell her the story. Awumtsheleke. And then I was like, really? And then I told her the story, and everyone was like, well, now we understand
Yeah,
why.
yeah.
But I think storytelling is just a gift that I find that I need to really nurture. I want it to grow, and not just on radio. I think radio is such a tricky space that we need not take advantage of. A simple engagement of one person who's listening says to you, you've done your job. Just one in a country that has 62 what?
Sure.
Billion, you know, just one person sending you a voice note says to you, listen, you're saying something that resonates with me, and I'm happy to engage you further. It's meeting new people, hearing different stories, and I think at heart, more than just being a broadcaster, I'm a journalist first. The aim is to tell a story that is going to empower, to educate, to inform, also to teach someone else who's young to say that this is what we're trying to do to change the world.
You mentioned storytelling and your love for storytelling. Now, you also specialize in children's writing.
Yes, I do.
Tell me about that. Does this go back to you and being on the bus and
potentially that could be it potentially.
Yeah.
I love children. I love children.
Can I bring my 2-year-old?
No, not yet. No, two is just
Yeah.
No, but absolutely. I love children. I have this strong desire and passion constantly day in, day out to say that if we don't teach them, then everything is gonna fall apart. And ngesiZulu bathi umuthi ugojwa usemanzi. So I always say if I can leave something in you that can help you to grow and develop and be a different person, or just be the person you've always wanted to be, if I can give you hope, if I can give you something that will just say, you know, we when we were growing up, we used to see abosisi abadala, ne? And they would look so beautiful in their makeup and their hair.
Put together.
Right? Like they would look. And I said to myself, one day I want to be like that. So if I can do that for the next child, if I can just say one thing and it changes your whole world, that's good. And more than anything else, I'm an advocate for children. I need children to have great education. I need children to realize their full potentials, who they are, what they stand for, the power they possess. Because sometimes community, society at large also just belittles and belittles. They have these standards, and then you're like, oh, not like that. You're saying do it, but not like that. But okay, if you can just step this side, you'll be doing it.
There's a way in which you can,
you know. And I feel like with that being said, I stand fully for children, 110%. I work with media monitoring when it comes to children as well. We were recently having the conversation and the debate about the right to be forgotten, of which I think it's something that South Africa needs to know about. You know, children have the right to make mistakes at a minor age, and they have the right to be forgotten once their life changes and they step into that legal, so to say, age where now they can fully comprehend and make decisions that are sound. But now we take away from them because every time you Google them, there's that story about them while they were 6 years old or 8 years old, stealing a chocolate or maybe getting into an altercation at school with someone. So we want to make sure that we create that safe space and say, look, it's okay to be a child. But now we need to fight for the right to be forgotten.
Sure, that's powerful. That's powerful. And if children want to be a part of this, how can they, or if parents would like their children to be a part of this
I
movement?
actually think that would be great because a lot of people don't know about it, and a lot of people just have a fear of engaging and
Yeah.
engaging things that are going to assist your children as well, you know. I don't think there's a lack of information, and I think we need to stop saying that. We need to stop saying that. There is no lack of information in this day and age. Everything is at you on a silver platter. I mean, the idea of having a celebrity, so to say, that you can just inbox.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of
You doing it.
are they going to respond or not? But what's the worst that could happen? But you are doing it because you want this answer in particular to whatever. I think maybe I need to post about it on social media because this is a conversation we're having as journalists before we can bring it out to the world. But I think it is a conversation that is worth having.
Now, Pretty, I want us to get into the mental health aspect of things, and we touched on it a bit off air, right? We spoke on preparation, you getting into this industry and perfecting your craft, and.
Yes.
But there's also a different aspect to things. I mean, you're now in an industry that is so cutthroat. Many people say that you have to be strong to be within this industry because it's survival of the fittest, you know. Is there a way that you prepared mentally to be where you are? We got to think about that.
I don't have to think about it, but I'm trying to say it in such a way that it doesn't discourage the next person who wants to be in the same space as me. I want to say it in a manner that is not going to be detrimental to the next person so much so that they don't want to be a part of the space. You can never be prepared. You can never be ready. You can never be, and I don't even want to say 110%, like 20%.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
Because this is something you only dream of outside the walls, and you are not given an opportunity to be inside and get to experience what a typical day in Somizi's life looks like. You know, you get to work, and I exchange shows with Somizi in the morning. You get to work, and Somizi is there, probably silence.
Yeah.
You know, like it's Metro FM. The playing ground is leveled now. Nobody wants to, and it's so uncomfortable. But shout out to Somizi because he came to me and he introduced himself. And I think I like the idea of somebody not assuming that you know them. Yes, I know you. Yes, I've seen you. Television, everywhere. But let's be polite about it. Yes. Hi, I'm Somizi. Welcome to Metro FM. Hi, Somizi. I'm Pretty Ngwenya. Thank you very much. It's nice to have you. Simple. I'm not saying let's be friends. I'm not saying, but it's that uncomfortable feeling that people create in these spaces. It's this I've done it longer than you kind of thing. It's this, I've got awards to prove it. I've got, look, I'm not saying awards are a bad thing. I'm not saying you being in the industry needs to be taken away, but that little girl in me shrinks. And now I almost feel like I don't deserve to be
there.
here. Now I almost feel like, why am I here? Because I'm working with people that have been working in this industry for 20, 30 years. And I get you and I'm small. I mean, I'm already feeling small walking through the door. But don't make me feel small. You learn how to stand up for yourself. But at the same time, I want to say standing up for yourself doesn't mean be rude. Standing up for yourself doesn't mean be insulting. It just means have a voice that is going to speak softly enough to be heard and interpreted in the right way. Because there's nobody who's going to defend you. So the mental state and the capacity of which you are at, for me, it's just a matter of really speaking to self and knowing self and accepting self and knowing the power that you possess. Because if people are constantly going to come to you and say, hey, you're so good, and you're like,
you start questioning. Thank
not
you.
me. Really?
Yeah.
No, thank you very much. I'm glad you listened to the show. Is there any feedback you'd like to give me, maybe? But also, you don't want to give the power to the wrong people, because the minute you go to someone, you're like, do you have any feedback for me? It's like, oh, you want feedback from me?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry my tone had to change because it's usually
Men. Yes.
It's usually men. You know? And then it just becomes a whole chaos, a chaos altogether. But find your peace, find your place that keeps you grounded, find your place that when you go back to, you get your source of strength. And source of strength could just be a matter of having power enough to just do 3 hours of a show.
Yeah.
You don't need to have strength for the whole day. You don't spend the whole day with everyone at
Of
work.
course.
You know? So it's just that 3 hours to smile. If you need to engage someone, you engage someone, but always go back to your shell and recharge, man. You know. But it's tough. At the same time, it's just a matter of courage. I always say.
I'm on my feet, the underdog, and I won't be beat. Turn the lights up now, welcome to the show. I ain't never
Are you a musician?
all I know. My eyes on the prize until I die. I'm gonna rise like
The Dream Stream Music Studio is now available on Sundays for only 295 rands per hour.
we work for a fall in line. We gon' give it our all until the end of time.
It includes a 12-channel desk, a variety of mics and cables, electronic drum kit, and a laptop for recording. Terms and conditions apply and booking is essential. Contact studio at dreamstream.co.za for a site visit.
It takes courage. It takes courage to start. It takes courage to quit. It takes courage to be consistent. So you just need to choose your courage. Which courage do you want?
I love that you're being so honest about it, because often people just make it seem so easy, you know? When you watch people and you see that they've got it all together, you think, this is something I can do. You know what I mean? You see, you know what I mean? You see them and then you're like, I can just come in and do this and that. It's easy, but I love how you're being honest about it.
I think honesty is the best thing. And I used to have conversations with Mansfi, and Mansfi said to me, Mara anlaleli.
Yeah.
You guys are so busy consumed by creating this path for yourselves, and you're so busy consumed about perfecting your craft, so much so that when we speak about these things, you guys miss it. But also I say to myself, nobody sits there and says, there's going to be a guy who's going to come to you and say, ungangikhulumisi because ufike izolo.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you're just going to say it's tough. And it's tough can mean anything. It can mean the long hours that you put into work. It can mean having to wake up and standing in for people.
Yeah.
You know, it can mean anything. But if we are willing to differentiate and break down in different portions what tough means, then maybe we'll just get people that are prepared for the industry, because now you know this is what tough looks like, this is what it smells like, this is what it walks like. I mean, if it quacks like a duck, chances are
it is. Now, from that little girl, not even little, but from that girl a few years back that moved to Johannesburg,
there?
you know, that moved to Johannesburg, is it what you envisioned?
No,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely not. And I don't say this in a bad way at all. I think the journey itself has been nothing short of torturing.
Yeah.
And when I look back today, I'm like, it was just this thick skin being built onto you. It was just this journey of showing you and really just humbling you. And I always say, if I ever lose my sense of who I am and what I stand for and where I'm going, may I always remember those days, because it was never easy. I used to watch people on TV saying things like, yo, angilala ngadlile. And I remember myself walking past the television at home, namanga lo.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
It was like someone was saying, I'm gonna make you experience it so that the next time somebody says it,
Never say
you
unamanga.
never say unamanga. You know, we look at PR and how everything might be just a bit exaggerated so that you can resonate, but there are certain things that I can guarantee you 110% we are all going to face, just in a different way.
Yeah.
You know, and the journey hasn't been easy, although I have to say that for me the journey has certainly paid off.
Yeah.
A lot of people question themselves, how do I move from a campus radio station straight to commercial? And I also feel like they omit my freelancing at Power FM, but that's fine. I always say that's fine. Time will show itself.
Time will definitely show.
And I stand by that. Time is the best thing I could ever say to someone, take, because if you listen to my show, then I think you shouldn't be questioning why I'm there.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be questioning why so soon. You shouldn't be questioning, like, if you really, really, I remember, I'm just gonna say this in parting to the question. I remember when the lineup came out, and everybody never knew who Pretty Ngwenya was. I think everyone was mad, you know.
Yeah.
People have lost their jobs. Now there's this girl we don't know.
Did she put the work in?
Like, who is she?
Yeah.
I think people had to go to my Instagram, Facebook. Well, Facebook is a bit down at the moment, but people had to go to my social media platforms to start looking at this journey and start, you know. And I remember doing my first show, and there was a guy who tweeted and said, I don't know you, you don't know me. You belong there.
Yeah,
Don't
sure.
let anyone tell you otherwise. And amongst all the tweets that were there, that was the one I decided I'm going to take this one with me wherever I go. It's going to give me the power to stand tall in front of people that feel like I don't deserve to be there. I know I deserve to be there. It's been a tough journey, an extremely, extremely tough journey. And I feel like I've played my part good enough and long enough to be where I am. And it's just the beginning.
It's just the beginning. I feel like this journey is also teaching you, you know, it's a lesson amongst many things. Mostly the most challenging moments always have that lesson within it that you need to take away from it. And in the end, there'll always be victory. Where do you ultimately see yourself?
You, Wayna, girl, that's a question I asked myself ever since the day I accepted Metro FM's contract. When I got a call for my appointment with Metro FM, I was just like, this seems big. It seems so big, you know. And I'm asking myself, so you've got a plan? And remember that Metro FM is a national radio station. So you've pretty much reached your crux in South Africa in a nutshell. And
that's the place to be.
Exactly, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, so if you take Metro now, what's the plan? So you do Metro for 3, 4, 5 years at most. What's the plan? Because now you're gonna do give your best to the people. Be happy, be excited, man. You've made it.
Yes.
Are you not tired of crying? Sorrow, goodbye.
Yes.
Let's just live in the moment and enjoy it, because sometimes we're so concerned about next year's contract. Are they going to renew it?
Yeah.
I told myself, no.
You're not present now anymore in the moment.
You are so busy trying to make sure that this contract must come, this contract. No, just be you, enjoy the moment, do your research, do your thing. Like whatever it is that works for you, just do that. But don't forget what you are. This is a journey. And if you don't enjoy it, sooner or later you'll realize one day when your contract is not renewed, what was I doing?
Yeah.
Like, what did I take from? Now you're busy crying over. I want to be excited should my contract come to an end. I did it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It was a milestone. It happened. I'm excited. And where to from there? So I'm yet to answer that question. I still want to find myself in the space at Metro FM, find my feet, know where I'm going, how things are, and almost evolve within the sense, because I'm going to grow when I get to really be comfortable.
Of course.
Now I'm going to have channels that are open for me to say, maybe I could go back to that acting career I once thought about.
Yeah.
Maybe I can ditch radio.
Yeah.
And maybe not.
Yeah.
But I think living and being excited about the journey is the one that's going to create the next step. I don't want to really put anything out there, because I really just at the moment want to be comfortable enough and be happy enough to say I did it.
Now, before we close our conversation, you are also a voiceover artist. You also do emceeing as well.
Yes.
Tell me a bit about that.
Yeah. Okay, so emceeing it's so demanding. So demanding because you're probably there until strike. And when I say until strike, like a lot of people will leave before you do.
Yeah.
Or people want to hang around a bit.
You're there before everyone, you leave after everyone.
I think it will reach a point where it's like you just go in. You know, sometimes you booked in busy and you move from one place to the next. And it's like, my slot is at 3. I need to go in. I need to do my thing, come out, go to the next gig. So maybe I'll reach a point like that. Not maybe, I will. So that for me works out better. But at my heart, at the crux of my heart is really just conversation starting, because I love having conversations with people. I love talk. I like being able to engage. But it's also nice to let go and let loose, you know,
Yeah.
because every day you are constantly putting in the work and everything. But when you go out there and you MC and you see the people and the crowd is screaming and people are just receiving you, which is also a bit tricky. Sometimes the crowd just does not receive you, let alone the
Yay,
language
ezibuhlungu
barrier. Oh
aziked.
my word, language barrier.
Ah,
But I think being in that space, voiceover work, I love it because it's just straight in, you've got your money, get your paper, and it's, you know, emceeing, engaging with people, learning every day, and just receiving the love because usually on radio you're behind the scenes, so you don't get to see the people.
yeah.
But when you do get to see the people, and then they start saying things like, "Yeah, I was listening to you on Saturday when you said
Yeah.
that, Imali," and you're like, "Yeah, girl, it
Yeah.
was like last week's show, the other week, but it's fine. I get
Yes.
you." But it's nice. You get to meet the people, so it's quite a journey, and we learn every day. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Pretty, thank you.
Have time for someone who's scared. That's the first thing. You need to be able to be given a mic and say something. Whether you say it palms all sweaty, shivering, uncomfortable, just say it. And I think fear will constantly stop everyone anywhere all the time. So you need to run away from fear. That's all I can say. Fear can never rule who you are. Walk into a room with pride, walk tall, no matter what the cost is. Focus on your dream, and it can be done. I promise you, it can. That's all I'm going to say. It can.
Yes,
It's
it
not
can.
magic. I didn't get you by magic. It can be done.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And all the best for the future.
Same to you.
Thank you, darling. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Same to you.
And to you that are watching, thank you so much for tuning in. From me, Kathleen Kgoroeadira. Until next time.